evening and a very warm welcome to Television Tonga's news package for tonight. Making headlines, Parliament deliberations reconvened this morning, where the Honourable Minister of Finance and National Planning, Dr. Isaac Evalueke, was sworn in to his ministerial post in Parliament. Honourable Prime Minister officially opens Public Service Commission PSC's free-day training for the civil servants, and New Zealand's new Chief of Defence Force calls on His Majesty's Armed Forces to continue strengthening their relationship. These and more stories later on in this bulletin, together with the latest in sports and the weather. I'm Fatai Whainga with the news for this evening. The new Minister of Finance and National Planning, Dr. Isaac Evalueke, was sworn in this morning by the Acting Speaker of Parliament, Lord Te Hateiho, right before Parliament started its deliberations this morning. After the new Finance and National Planning Minister, Dr. Isaac Evalueke, was sworn in to his role in Parliament. The Acting Speaker of Parliament, together with the Honourable Prime Minister, Lord Te Whanau, signed the letter of oath. This is the first time Honourable Dr. Isaac Evalueke is present in Parliament in his capacity as Minister of Finance and National Planning. Parliament's deliberations resumed this morning. The discussions focused on various bills, which were some of the issues left off since Parliament was adjourned in October last year. In a statement from the Honourable Prime Minister, Lord Te Whanau, to the Acting Speaker of the House, Lord Te Hateiho, he highlighted the smooth operations conducted both in Parliament and the Government during the Parliament's long period of adjournment. Meanwhile, in this morning's deliberations, the House continued discussions on the bills, which includes the amendment bill that the number 2 Noble Representative for Vava'o, Lord Tuilakepa, recommended to put down to the Committee of the Whole House for further discussions. Deliberations then continued to the Amendment Bill on Medicines 2014 and the Amendment Bill concerning the roles of nurses 2014. The Deputy Prime Minister, Honourable Sami Waipulo, says both the amendment bills relate to one another. The Deputy Prime Minister told the members of the House both bills are important because it will help all the individual health clinics who employ staff that have the correct skills and are qualified to prescribe any medication to the public. Meanwhile, the MP for Tongatapu No. 3 constituency, Dr. Stephen Halapua, elaborate more on the bill. Dr. Halapua says the amendment bill has its limit for people with the correct academic certificates that authorize them to prescribe medicines to the public. During the discussions of both the amendment bills, the MP for Tongatapu No. 1 constituency, Akilis Pohiva, voiced his concern over the need for those who are authorized to carry out this work and also commended his support on the bill. At the end of the discussion, the members of the House approved the Amendment Bill on Medicines 2014. Discussions then continued to the Amendment Bill on Protecting the Ozone Layer 2013 until Parliament's break. Parliament's deliberation is broadcast live on Radio Tonga 1 and 2, thanks to the Office of the British High Commission. It is crucial to make use of all training opportunities provided by the government to ensure the civil servants' capability to develop their services to the public.
The Honourable Prime Minister, Lord Te Whanau, made the statement while opening the Public Service Commission's free-day training this morning at the Tavina House. The agendas discussed during the program includes better services to the public through better communication and networking, amongst others.
I'm pleased with the design and quality of the training materials to ensure they provide the capacity training required by the public servants to carry out the role and responsibilities of the government to the people of Tonga. I strongly urge all public servants to take hold of this opportunity and to make the most of it. There's a high expectation for our service delivery, and this is where we continue to build our capability. Training is the key to improving the performance of staff, the quality of service delivered, and efficiency in the use of resources. I'm hoping that the 2 training activities this week, performance management and building high-performance teams, will provide the participants with the core skills to be able to ensure that staff are delivering the expected outputs and outcomes expected of them, and do so in the spirit of teamwork.
This training is led by expertise from the Pacific Islands Centre for Public Administration, or PICPA, through funding from the Australian Aid. Attending the program was Australian High Commissioner to Tonga, His Excellency Brett Aldham.
And it is a significant program, and it's a program that the Australian government is delighted to be able to support for a number of reasons. First of all, of course, it recognises the critical role of an effective and an efficient public service pardon me, in government and in supporting strong government. And whilst I'm biased myself, I have to admit, because of course I'm a public servant myself, so I will always laud the role of the public service in the delivery of strong policy. Although I do get to masquerade by another name overseas as a High Commissioner, I will remain first and foremost a public servant. And I think what this program recognises is the critical role of the public service in helping to shape and influence and guide and implement public policy.
The program will end this Wednesday. For Television Tonga News, I'm Fononga Vikoso.
The government is planning to install solar system in Viola Hospital to help supply electricity. The Deputy Prime Minister and Minister for Infrastructure, Honourable Sami Vaipulu, elaborated more on the issue in an exclusive interview with Radio and Television Tonga News. This is part of the government's effort to help provide consistent and affordable electrical power for the public.
During an exclusive interview with Radio and Television Tonga, Deputy Prime Minister and Minister for Infrastructure, Honourable Sami Vaipulu, says the purpose of the project is to provide efficient electricity power for the people. The project is funded by the Chinese government through its climate change program, estimated to the tune of about 15 million RMB. China says the solar system they will supply is the latest technology. It will help reduce the cost for electricity and probably save that money to help buy medicines for patients like Panadols and others. After that, we will look to apply the same project in the islands of Ha'apai and Vava'u, and probably for some of the schools to benefit from that also. The project will also look at funding other related works. Most of the offices' bills are from the type of air conditioning system that they use. So we are looking to replace that, and some of the gas used in such a technology is starting to phase out. Therefore, we need to change it. There will also be 200,000 energy-saving lights to help reduce the cost of electricity, especially for government buildings. It includes 400 solar street lights. The Deputy Prime Minister and Minister for Infrastructure says they plan to request for Tonga Power Limited's help to install the solars and other technical works. Although the project is similar to a program currently implemented by Tonga Energy Roadmap Implementation Unit, but the Deputy Prime Minister clarified that these are two different projects. For Television Tonga News, I'm Sinilatu.
The New Zealand's Chief of Defence Force, Lieutenant General Timothy Keating, has called on His Majesty's Armed Forces to strengthen ties of the two forces. Lieutenant General Keating also urged the Tongan soldiers from His Majesty's Armed Forces to address their most pressing needs to develop their services.
His Majesty Armed Forces Special Royal Sunset Parade for the guest of honour. New Zealand's Chief of Defence made the statement during a reception held at His Majesty Armed Forces Naval Base at Tauliki to mark his one-day visit to Nuku'alofa, but also his first official visit to the kingdom. The reception was attended by the Honourable Prime Minister Lord Tuvakano, Deputy Prime Minister Honourable Sami Vaipulu, diplomatic corps, and many guests. Lieutenant General Keating's visit aimed at discussing regional counterparts in Tonga and other Pacific countries.
This is an opportunity. Sometimes it's very hard in our profession to see the professionalism that makes up a military, because often the military's work is done far from home and out of the sight of the public and the generals and the admirals of the commanders. although we'd like to be at the front line, often we are well to the rear, as are the public, because the military is often at the front line on freedom's frontier, doing the work that the nation demands of it to keep our public safe and secure. What you saw this evening was a demonstration of a professional military. The precision, the turnout that I was given the honour to observe tonight was the military showing its best. It exemplifies what it does in the operational space. And tonight we saw the sailors and the soldiers on their best on the parade ground. But this exemplifies the professionalism that you see at sea or in their operations in the land. And as we know with many of the forces, and I talked to one of the young sailors tonight, on operations in Afghanistan and Iraq. And it may seem superficial, but for a visiting general or a visiting dignitary, you can take a great mark from the turnout you see in an event like tonight. And when I say general, it was spotless, and I note the professionalism of your armed forces under your leadership. I mean that with all sincerity.
While in Nuku'alofa, Lieutenant General Keating met the Commander of His Majesty Armed Forces, Brigadier General Tauaika Ota'ato, the Police Commissioner Grant Ophie, and other government senior officials. During the reception, Brigadier General Ota'ato delivered a speech on behalf of His Majesty Armed Forces. He highlighted the strong relations between Tonga and New Zealand's Defence Force, which was first established since the First World War.
And also to thank him for all the support and assistance that New Zealand Armed Forces had contributed to the development of His Majesty's Armed Forces. New Zealand and Tonga have a long history of defence relationship. This defence relationship began when 56 Tongans went and joined the Maori Pioneer Battalion in New Zealand before they travelled and fought together in Europe from 1916 to 1917. At the outbreak of the Second World War in 1939, New Zealand helped to establish His Majesty's Armed Forces. At the end of the Second World War in 1945, His Majesty's Armed Forces was disbanded. In 1950, when the Korean War began, the British feared that this war may come down to the Pacific like the Second World War. During the Korean War, the British and the Allied authorities directed New Zealand to help to reactivate His Majesty's Armed Forces in 1953. In 1972, New Zealand and Tonga formalized their defence relationship. In the same year, New Zealand and Tonga agreed to establish a mechanical advisor post here in Tonga to start His Majesty's Armed Forces Technical Grade Training Scheme. Last year, His Majesty King Tupou VI honoured the celebration of the 41st anniversary of the Technical Grade Training Scheme by officiating at the program. In the same year, New Zealand Defence Force helped to provide various training opportunities to the members of His Majesty's Armed Forces up until today.
Lieutenant General Keating was accompanied by other senior officials from New Zealand Defence Force, and they have departed Tonga to New Zealand on Saturday. For Television Tonga News, I'm Manasiu Falekaono.
All blood samples from the Viola Hospital that has been sent to New Zealand for a laboratory test has been proven negative of both dengue fever and measles. The acting Deputy Chief Medical Officer from Viola Hospital's Public Health Division, Dr. Ofatukia, revealed this to Radio and Television Tonga News this morning after the results were returned to Viola last Friday.
Dr. Tukia says it is believed that more than 200 patients recorded at the hospital's outpatient ward was an impact of the Zika flu, which has been spreading throughout the region. It seems like most of the patients coming into Viola Hospital obtained the flu that usually occur at this time of the year, or known as the influenza. We are still trying to cooperate with the Pacific's Information Center so we can monitor this new type of flu, which is currently spreading around the region. This flu is similar to dengue fever. She also confirms that this flu obtains no remedy, whereas drinking a lot of water and resting may help ease the flu. In order to reduce the flu, people have to abstain from living together in crowded places.
Tonga Meteorological Office in Whamoto has recorded 375 millimeters of rainfall since the beginning of this month to date. This, however, exceeded the average amount of rainfall usually recorded within a month. This is after recording of 54 millimeters of rainfall from 10 a.m. yesterday morning until 10 this morning. Director of Tonga Meteorological Office of Whanonu told Radio Tonga News, Tonga will be receiving more rain as we are currently on the rain season until next month. The heavy rain caused flooding to low-lying areas. The people in the Western District experienced inconsistent water supply for 3 weeks due to the maintenance work to upgrade the district's water supply in the area. This not only caused problems to the locals but also to businesses in the area.
Speaking to Television Tonga News, the Western District Officer Sioneman Manu says they've been facing the same problem 30 years ago. This is despite the upgrade works that is currently underway in the area. Water supply has been problematic for weeks now due to the current project underway, which include installing of new 5 water pumps in the area. This project will be completed and commissioned by His Majesty next week. During this work, water have to be temporarily shut down in order for the work to run smoothly. This water project is a collaboration between the people of the district and the Ministry of Environment. Mr. Manmanu emphasized apart from this, inconsistent water has been a problem they face every year. Residents living in the villages at the Western Districts sometimes have access to water, but Beach Resort hardly get any water due to their location. They therefore have to spend more money on purchasing water for their business daily operation. The district officer of the Western District apologized for any inconvenience occurs due to the problem. However, a beach resort owner at Hihifo District, Beseti Ma'afu, told Radio and Television Tonga News that he had spent 2,000 pa'anga in a week to purchase water for his businesses, which is a loss to himself despite the attempt to better his businesses.
A 44-year-old man has been charged and accused of possession of counterfeit notes. Lini Puloto Falaleva has been bailed from police custody after being arrested with a printer colour and 1510 counterfeit notes. Puloto is not allowed to travel outside Tongatapu and he will appear in court next Monday. This is after police arrested and accused Fautasi Taunaholo of Kolomotua of another similar case. And the Western District Office of Tongatapu, Sioneman Manu, urged the residents of the importance of ensuring safer and cleaner water supplies for the locals. Speaking to Television Tonga News, he says the only alternative to ensure cleaner water is to boil water before consuming it. Anasi Falekano tells you more.
The district officer of the Western District, Sione Manu, says to ensure cleaner water, the catchments need to be clean. These are some of the lessons taught during a week-long training on cleaner water supplies to the locals. It is very clear that there are no other way to ensure that the water is clean but to boil it. This can help eliminate germs and bacteria in the water. The program was organized and conducted by the Tonga Community Development Trust. Attending the program were students, youth members and others. I have learned the importance for students to always ensure that water supplies are clean before drinking it. From this training, I've learned that unclean and unsafe water can cause sickness, but I'm happy I'm also aware of how to consume safer water and clean water. Similar program has already been conducted in the village of Pea and Kolomotua and will be conducted at the Eastern District. The training program is funded by the European Union 4CA program with the Australian aid.
And that's the local news. Sport is up next.